All right, you guys, welcome back to another Because of Sales podcast. This week, we've got a treat of an episode coming to you with Bispath, otherwise known as Brandon. Some of you guys might not know that. I'm super stoked to have him on because, one, he doesn't really do public-facing stuff like this very often. He is anonymous in the way that you guys might know him, but he has an awesome story. He is a 26-year-old or became a millionaire at 26. Through running an agency where he helps people sell things, and he got into sales kind of doing something similar to what his agency does, but it all started with sales. So we're going to talk about, how sales has enabled him to get where he is today. We're going to talk about his agency and how he's running that, the types of people he's selling to. We're going to talk about the side business that he runs that makes him $20K plus per month without showing his face, which may be how most of you guys know him, and just some overall general interesting topics as it may pertain to someone in their mid-late 20s who's doing pretty well and knows how to sell a thing or two. So before we get into this, guys, please go down to the link in the description, subscribe to our free newsletter if you're in sales. Our goal is to give you a pulse on the state of selling. So every week, it's free. We send you news, tools, tips, tricks, memes. We scrub the internet far and wide for anything that's happening in the world of sales that might be interesting to you, and we send it to you alongside a deep dive of these interviews here. So before we get into it, go down there, subscribe. Now let's get rolling. All right, you guys, welcome back to another Because of Sales podcast episode. We've got a pretty cool guest on this week, our first time meeting, but this is Brandon. Some of you guys might know him as BizPath. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you for having me, sir. Dylan and I were kind of talking off camera here. We've been indirectly talking for many, many years now, almost 3 years. And obviously we're both in the sales space, both in like agency, biz space. So it's pretty sweet to catch up with you, man. It's good.
I knew I was following your branded page, but then the personal page, I was like, oh shoot, like we have talked before. That's cool. And we know a lot of the same people too. I don't know what we're going to title this episode yet, but I think a good kind of kickoff to just build some context and a little, fill people in on what it is that you're up to and what you've done is, well, Brandon runs an agency. He's been running an agency for a while. It does pretty well. Worked with over 300 clients in that capacity. You also run BizPath and what's the other channel we were just talking about?
The BizRev. So it's a car channel and then like a classic Call of Duty / business channel. Both cover the same topics, but just with different visuals, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, that is super, super interesting to me. So if you guys ever watch YouTubers who just drive their car and talk or just play games like Modern Warfare 2, that's basically what Brandon does, but he's talking about business and self-betterment and stuff that I think young guys should probably be paying attention to, especially if you're ambitious. But I think something to kind of round out this little intro is you personally reach 7-figure liquid net worth at 26 years old, which is something I think a lot of people listening would love to do if they're not there yet. So from a combination of you, we'll get into it a little bit, but being an employee back in the day, learning the skill, starting your own agency, running that for a few years, now cash flowing this YouTube channel, you just got a lot going on. We'll talk about the R8 too.
Let's do it, please.
So you run this agency, you do lead generation for a certain industry, and from what I understand, you're pretty good at it. You've been doing it for a while. How did you even land on that model to begin with? And why didn't you just go, maybe you did college, corporate job, that kind of thing, but how'd you end up on the agency stuff?
That end part's a good question. Let me talk about that first. I knew grade 10, grade 11, my dad and I fought a lot about this specifically. From ages 16 to 19, it was always, you get a job, go to work. I don't care if it's sales, but you need to get an education. You need to get an education. I hated school. I sucked at school. And that's kind of why maybe the BizPath stuff is so near and dear to my heart. For anyone listening, if you go to the channel, that's the original channel that I tried this Call of Duty upload stuff on. So that was my first real stab at a business venture, if you will. I tried a bunch of different things, entrepreneurial, ventures, if you will, from real estate wholesaling, private equity deal sourcing, freaking car flipping, online fitness coaching, obviously Twitch streaming. I tried a million things. The one that did stick pretty well, though, was the real estate wholesaling stuff. So I would get onto Kijiji, which is the Canadian version of Craigslist, for example, and I would try to connect people who are privately selling and people who are listing, hey, I'm looking for properties. Hey, I'm looking for a 3-bed, 2-bath townhouse. And it's I always wanted to get into real estate somehow. My grandma was a realtor, and I was like, dude, I want to do something with real estate. It's so cool. It seems so sexy. It's not really. But at the end of the day, I was like, okay, this is cool. So I learned a ton of communication skills from there. And at some point, I never made a single penny, but it built a lot of that communication skills. It built a lot of of like picking up the phone, dialing, and just getting on the phone with a human. Like that was really cool. And it stuck out because it's like, dude, how old are you, kid? Like 17, 18? Like this is weird. I don't know really what you're talking about, but it's very interesting that you're trying to do this. Like I respect it. So I had that in me, but I just ran out of money. I had no money. I was living at home and my dad's like, dude, you're cut off. The only thing that I'm keeping is a roof over your head and any food that we have in the pantry. Anything else, clothes, games, you want a car, education, if you want to now do that, which that ship sailed a long time ago, you're on your own. And it's like, holy shit, like I got to make money. Like I got to figure this stuff out. So there was a startup locally of all places that was like a real estate ISA lead gen company that I was like, this sounds really interesting. This sounds like almost up my alley. It's kind of what I'm already doing, speaking to buyers and sellers, setting appointments. The salary was horrible, but point is like, this is cool. It's some cash flow. And I get on the interview with the guy, sold myself really well. And I almost got the job same day. He emails me next morning within 12 hours. He's like, dude, you're hired. Your resume is kind of confusing, but you sold yourself really well in the interview. So that's when I realized, like, if there was a moment where I realized sales was it, that was the light bulb. Like, dude, if you know how to sell yourself, if you know how to articulate your words properly and what you're thinking up here, because everyone thinks and has great stories, but they just don't know how to actually convey and like speak over them. That's the big thing. I was like, ooh, like this could be kind of cool. So I got the job and really quickly became like top performer. Now it's like B2C sales. It's the most like entry level sales stuff, which is why I'm glad I started at that, because I just learned everything. The way that you speak to a 25-year-old young couple is a lot different than you speak to a 80-year-old senior looking to buy or sell real estate, right? So I really learned that. And then I'll fast forward, so not like dreading on that too much. I'd say 2019 is when I was promoted to an ISM. So an inside sales manager, my boss comes to me, he's like, hey dude, listen, we're bringing on and scaling very, very fast. I need you to manage 10 to 12, sometimes 15 reps at any given time. This was like physical on the floor, which I really like. I'm all for remote work, but physically being on a sales floor is just so damn cool. I can't explain it. Those who know will know, but it was really cool doing that. And then he comes to us with an offer. We go through some ebbs and flows. COVID obviously happens, revenue drops, but then we explode in 2020, 2021. He has a kid. He makes a ton of money. He comes to us with like two propositions. You go either work with our biggest client at the time, who was paying us like 10 to 12 grand a month, but obviously he was pocketing most of that. They're going to offer you a job. They'll happily do this thing. Or second option, I will give you my blessing to go freelance these guys. I just spoke with, because as he's offboarding clients, he's like, Chris told me he wants this. Alex told me he still wants this. Tom, like all these guys are going to need vendors. They're going to either go to our competitors or they could go to one of you guys. He's talking to myself and another manager. The other manager is like, all due respect, him and I are still very close to this day, but he's like, dude, Brandon, I'm taking this. Like, I need this job. I'm closing on a house soon. I need a salary. And I'm sitting there like, fuck, like, do I take this? It was like a really anxious, kind of emotional, but exciting time. I'm like, I can do this. And I just started texting every single one of my past clients, being like, hey, there's a potential that you and I can work together on our own, on a freelance basis, and I'll do the exact same thing that I was doing at that company, just between you and I. There's no middleman. There's no like, you need to speak to him first. You come directly to me. I'll be your account manager. I'll be your ISA, your lead gen guy. And I got like a 80% hit rate of, let's do this. We loved working with you. So I made sure that that bridge was covered before I just stuck it to my new potential boss, which I couldn't stand. Him and I had a huge falling out. It wasn't good. So I knew this was right for me, but it was really, for anyone listening, like whether you're in sales now or you want to get into sales, it's not easy to like take a fully commissioned job, even though the earning potential could be multi six figures, or go start your own agency. Like there's never going to be a perfect time. You're going to always have the what ifs in your head, but I'm so damn glad that I took that plunge, because I genuinely don't know where I would be. We'll talk more about this later. I might not have had the ambition for the R8 if I didn't do this. I definitely wouldn't have the Bispath channel, because I wouldn't be talking about the business stuff. There's just so many things in life that you just look back and you're like, damn, that really did happen for a reason. Even though it sucked in the time of it, it was just so interesting. So that's like kind of a snippet of what happened, really.
So your main business now, you mentioned before we started recording, is quite comparable to the business that you were working for previously. It sounds like you started as a freelancer and then you realized like, hey, there's opportunity. Let me build something bigger. Did you see things that you intentionally like did differently, or structured your agency or the freelance business differently so that way you didn't have the same problems that they ran into? I'm curious on that.
Yes, I started as two things. I started as a freelancer because I needed that. I didn't know how to hire. Even though I hired from the old agency, it was a lot different having my own budget being allocated to these people. And like, I've always been a good saver, but almost too much. My most popular video is me talking about living frugally. That's always been like a bit of a detriment of mine. mine is I'm very frugal to the extent of like being bad with it. I've gotten a little bit better, but I sat there and I'm like, dude, I can't hire right away. I just got to freelance this thing. But I'm so glad I did because I was profiting 92, 93% margins off of like 12 grand a month coming in, and seeing that money, my expenses were less than $500. And it came to a point where, holy shit, this client pays for my groceries and gas. Like, that's pretty cool. Whoa, this client pays for my rent. Holy crap. Now all my expenses are covered and I'm netting 3, 4, 7 grand a month. And I was like, what is going on? This is insane. And then I got to a point where I capped out. I remember the day, it was like 12,500 of billables that month, but I was working like a dog. I'm talking 10 to 12 hours a day. And I was like, I can't do this. There's no way. If I want to take off a Friday afternoon, boom, a new lead comes in. We have a 5-minute call guarantee. I have to get on that lead because that's what I'm selling my customers, right? It doesn't matter if it's a holiday. It doesn't matter if it's an after hours lead. That's my guarantee. And luckily I did that. But yes, I learned the second thing is I did what he did super well, but I also fixed a lot what he didn't. The second he onboarded a client, he never spoke to, you could offer this man $1 million to speak to that client again. He had no interest in it. He wanted to remove himself. And I was like, dude, that's just horrible customer experience. Like, that's just not going to do well. You're not a Bezos. Like, you can't just drop everything and never speak to your customers again. There has to be some level of that. There's a few other like back-end automations, even to a point where customers weren't receiving their invoices. Like, I wanted to fix all the holes, but then again, it's a funnel. It just opens up its own can of worms. So now I'm dealing with, my own set of problems that we never had at the old agency. But yes, to answer your question, that's a really good one. I learned firsthand what worked super well there, but I also better and more importantly, learned, oh my God, like I can fix this so easily. So this customer never has to deal with that problem again, right? So yeah, it's a perfect question. I highly, for anyone listening, start as a freelancer. Don't go the full blown agency route. You don't need to. I don't recommend it. Taste that profit and then use some of those earnings to hire out. I know people will probably disagree with that. It's the model I like. It's the model I took.
It's worked for you so far. All right. So I wanted to ask you, you said something in there that I've actually, I'm not as tapped into the industry that you're in. You mentioned something about like lead comes in, 5-minute guarantee, you were ripping calls. I can put 2 and 2 together. I assume that's like part of the offer. And honestly, that's like pretty attractive. If you still do that to this day, I don't know. But I wanted to ask you like what your service looks like, because I also feel like I caught you saying something along the lines of like, we're fronting spend, or not fronting spend, but you said like managing cash flow, marketing. Is that what you guys are basically kind of offering to people? Or
more or less, we will do full lead gen. So most of it's from Meta, a little bit of Google for some higher intent leads, but I just like Facebook because obviously CPLs are lower, intent's lower, but I just find you can get a volume game in play versus just 25 Google leads. We can get like 100, 150, sometimes 125 Facebook leads in there. We won't necessarily front the spend. We'll take the spend, but then we'll manage it for them, do the full done for you campaign. The main upsell though is the appointment setting backend, and that's human-based callers too. There's obviously some text automations and whatnot in there, but we saw this firsthand where it's like, everyone and their mother's offering lead gen to realtors. That's our niche, is realtors, but these guys are busy. They're in showings 3 hours a day, or they're doing contracts, or they're doing a closing. They can't call these leads. And obviously speed to lead for anyone in sales listening is crucial. You have to call a lead. Ideally, we try to do it even sooner, to be honest, like 1 to 2 minutes, but we will double dial. We will have a full sequence of 12 to 15 calls in the first 30 days. Like, we are hammering these people, and that's not even counting text and email flows, but that's like part of the service where it's like, this is an easy upsell for an extra 1,000, 1,500, $2,000 a month or more. We could just have a full done for you, like appointment setting solution. So you're not paying us just for leads anymore. We're like increasing that outcome to pay for actual qualified sales calls, sales appointments on your calendar. And that was what just completely took off the business from that perspective. And now it's obviously different. We'll talk more about hopefully other offers that I'm maybe pivoting to, but yeah, you always got to move with what's working and what's not. Like, you could have got away with just lead gen in 2016, but dude, the market sophisticates. The market is going to determine what you want and what you should sell, in my opinion.
I feel like I know a lot of people, man, that have tried to run a business where they work with realtors, wholesalers, people in real estate, and there's some very difficult people to work with. Would you say that the appointment setting component is what really kind of makes us stickier than just traditional lead gen? I mean, I think it's safe to assume that, but like, is there something else that you're giving them where they're like, yeah, I'm not getting this anywhere else? Like, it makes sense for me month over month to work with these guys.
100%. I would say that. And the main sell that I had, which is just now starting to dry out, but it worked for 3 years, was owner level sales calls. A lot of these agency owners, especially in the real estate space, they maybe have 6 months, maybe 8 months, max a year of experience of doing this themselves, and then they just contract it out. I was doing this and I promoted this in my outreach, and now I'm doing it in my ads. For 4 years, I worked at another company. Now, yes, I did not need to stay there that long at all. I shouldn't have stayed there. I think I stayed there 2 years too late. But then again, I have that mindset, but then I wouldn't have known that the company was shutting down if I didn't stay there for those full 4 years, and I probably wouldn't be where I am today. So it worked out. But dude, like a lot of these kids will do 6 months, 12 months of fulfillment and then go focus on a coaching program, not knowing that that's going to totally wrench their success for the actual agency. And then the coaching's going to dry out. I think I've heard Ben Bader talk about this, where it's like, even if you got to scale down your agency, still run some type of actual real tangible business. So you're fresh of mind. You actually legitimize yourself. And it's like, damn, when I heard him say that about a month or two ago, it's like, that's really good. And it's just a reminder. But yeah, to your point, yes and no, because now it's not just appointments. It's, dude, the real estate market. For anyone listening who thinks this sounds super sexy, I would not sell to realtors right now. Full stop. They are very difficult people. Ego is a big thing. Like, you think real estate, like all consumers, all my family members, friends are like, wow, you're in real estate, you must make a shit ton of money. And it's like, dude, 92% of realtors haven't sold a house in over a year. It's not as glamorous as it may seem. I think there's more demand in boring industries for anyone listening, or we're even trying to do is a little side offer. I don't mind sharing this, is like trying to rank realtors in GPT and different models like that, because I've had leads come through from my business from GPT and I didn't even know it. I'm like, sorry, where did you find my business? It's like, it's number 6 on ChatGPT. I'm looking right at it. I took a screenshot. I'm like, holy crap. Like, I didn't even realize. So that is what I'm trying to like learn and understand. I'm very early into it, but it's like, dude, if you can help realtors rank on these GPT, Claude, and all these platforms, it's like SEO for in 2009, Google. Like, it's, I don't know, it's getting crazy.
Dude, I was listening to a podcast yesterday about ranking on ChatGPT, and I was like, I got to get on that because I don't think anybody else is, at least in our niche. That's a huge opportunity for sure. So you mentioned you got to like that 12.5 mark solo freelancing. You were working like a dog. Was your first hire the sales, like help on the appointment setting side, or
setter? It was a bookkeeper, but that was like $400 a month. That's technically nothing, but the real actual hire. And I have a funny story about this. I went through 4 just god awful hires. They were overseas, but also there was some local, very just unreliable to say the least. And the 5th one that I got, she was so damn expensive, and it was a lot more than I was willing to pay at the time. It was almost double the hourly rate, but even looking back, it was nothing. And she's like, I asked her, I hinted, like, please, is there anything you do on your rate? And she was firm because she had the experience. She knew the leverage that she had. She's like, I'm not going to do that, unfortunately, but I guarantee I've done this before. She was a team lead for another real estate brokerage. And I was like, I need this person. So I get off the phone. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to be able to do it. She's like, okay, if your mind changes, let me know. That night I emailed her, said, fuck it, let's just flip the coin. Let's see what happens. This is a lot of money to burn, but she's still with me to this day. It was the best hire I ever made. And yeah, to answer your point, it was an appointment setter. So that got me off fulfillment. When I first saw the first appointment come through without my hands on it, without my touch, I was like, oh my God, now I can focus all my time on selling. So yes, I'm giving up 30%-ish of revenue to go towards expenses and different employees, but look at how much time I'm getting back. Look at how much bigger this pie is getting. So full transparency, we've capped at 65,000 is our current milestone or record for monthly revenue. And then it started to teeter totter and dip a little bit. And now we hover around a consistent 40. But the main thing I'm really like proud of is the profit. We're profiting around 22-ish a month before tax. So, I mean, still taxes blow, but still, I'm very lightly involved, and I'm getting more involved now. I'm getting back in the quote unquote cheesy trenches, but I'm learning to like, let's get paid ads growing. Let's get to 6 figures a month. I want to touch that. I need to hit that because it's been too long.
People underestimate that too, because I have a business that's been kind of in that sub 100K range. And just being in this space, you know, these people doing $500,000, million a month, it makes you kind of a little bit desensitized to how much like a solid profit margin business that does 50K a month and just like over time, like consistently doing that, like how much you set yourself up, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a sec, with kind of like the stuff that you talk about on YouTube and all that. But don't underestimate it, man, because some of these guys, I've seen it where they fly to 500K plus per month, a million per month. They fly too close to the sun, man, and they burn out. They do something they shouldn't.
That's a very good point. I'm never one to name drop and be, that guy, but I've seen businesses where one time, literally once, not twice, not 5 times, 1 month they hit 100, they fly till the rest of time with that screenshot. And you don't even know it, but that business has been burned down for a year and a half, 2 years. And I'm just now hearing about it. And I'm like, dude, what? I see your ads to this day saying, you're presently saying, this is what got me to 100 grand a month. This is how I'm hitting 100 grand a month. That screenshot, read the fine print. That's from 2.5 years ago, bro. So I like Dylan's point because it's so damn true. There hasn't been a month since March of 2022 that I haven't profited net at least 20 grand a month. And I'd much rather have that than soar to $250,000 a month once or twice or even 5 times, but not know how to bank that properly. And I think that's the part of the issue is so many guys hit that so quickly, they don't know what to do with the money, the cash flow injection, and then they blow it or they get too comfortable and then shit hits the fan really quick versus just making a really relatively small, but I like how you said it because it's like, dude, $20,000 a month. Like that's a really good amount of money in most places. And if you can just profit that every single month for years, like you don't realize how good you're going to be off. So it's a good point. It's a very good point.
All right, quick break in the pod, you guys, for the sponsor of this video, which is the Serial Sales Community. The Serial Sales Community is a business that I have personally been running since 2022. Going on 3 years now, where we help people just like yourself break into the world of remote 1099 sales jobs. Not really cold calling, not the ones you're finding on LinkedIn or Indeed, not insurance. We're talking remote setting or closing in the high ticket space. So that's going to be taking sales calls or having sales conversations for coaches, consultants, agency owners like Brandon himself, masterminds, boot camps, software companies, community memberships, all of the above. Basically, a lot of these businesses, if we want to boil it down, they are generating inbound leads through social media or paid ads, and they need people to take those calls so that they can focus on the fulfillment of the business and scaling of the business. So if you have a sales background and you're just looking for an opportunity to work from wherever, be remote, have contractor benefits, so on and so forth, go down to the second link in the description, click it, watch the video, and book a call with our team, and we will give you 5% off any membership you choose if you just mention because of sales. Now back to the pod. Aside from people in this space who I kind of know, like I don't really openly talk numbers with like friends and family, whatever. But you mentioned earlier, like, oh, my family knows I'm in real estate. They know I do well. But like, if you just said 20K a month, they'd be like, holy shit, like this out of this world. Like, how are you doing that? Teach me all that. So like, you got to kind of remember all this money Twitter stuff is a little bit smaller than we sometimes remember. All right, dude. So I want to talk a little bit about kind of just like the personal finance side of things, because and then this will lead into like YouTube stuff. So you run these YouTube channels where you basically talk about how you're growing business, personal finances, all that. We mentioned previously, you got to that cool like millionaire checkpoint at a young age where a lot of people would like to be there. I'm going to leave this super open-ended. Besides just making consistent good money, like how did you get there? Because there's a lot of people that make consistent good money and are not there or even close to it. What would you kind of tell the people listening if they're trying to get there?
That was going to be my main driver, but I like how you framed it because I still live so far below my means. It's actually funny to look at. Actually, for guys in their space, this is not legal advice. This is not tax advice. I don't want to get you in trouble or myself in trouble, but keep as much money as you can in your corporation. And my accountant had this question to me. This is how I invest now. I keep all my investment capital in my business, so I'm not taxed, because he goes, okay, do you have any business partners? I'm like, no. He's like, okay, do you plan on having any business partners or selling the company? Because if you say yes to one of those questions, this is going to very change my answer. I said, no, I promise you I'm keeping this. I'm 100% sole ownership, no partners. He's like, okay, keep as much money as you possibly humanly can inside the corporation. Pay yourself a dividend at this amount per year. And I'm like, why? He's like, well, you have 2 scenarios. You can either get that money compounding for you within your company and only take a 25%, the normal 20, 25, 30% corporate tax rate, keep that money compounding immediately, or you could be a bit of an idiot and not only get taxed at corporate rate, 25, 30%, but then if you take that money out, get another tax hit and tax, rate. And unfortunately in Canada, our tax law is it's horrible. It's a joke compared to you guys. You guys have a really good tax structure, but here he's like, there's no way you're going to be able to avoid these taxes. However, there's a cheeky little thing called deferring them. You could defer them for as long as you humanly possibly can. This is how I do it with my own corporation. He shows me this is what your money would be worth in 30 years if you keep your money in the corporation. This is what it's going to be worth if you take it out right now. And every year that you take it out for some stupid potential car that you're talking to me about how you want to buy, or for a really expensive 5-figure vacation, he's like, look at how much gains you're losing. Look how much money you're taking away from yourself. And it's like, okay. So I immediately open my corporate investing account. It's probably one of the best things I've ever done. Canada does have a huge structure for that, which is awesome. It's very simple to set that up. But besides the point, main driver for sure. Most of my money, my wealth was made these last 3 years since 2022 is starting that. But second is living below my means. Third is keeping a lot of the money in the corporation. And then fourth, I guess just not getting fancy. Dude, this is almost like a mini therapy session, because I've had so much FOMO and looking at the revenue screenshots. And even though I know I should just stay on the course that I'm at and just do my own thing and just chill with this YouTube stuff and do the coaching and cash flow, why do I get into newsletter businesses? Why do I get into this? Why do I want to start the next AI thing? It's like I constantly teeter-totter, and that's a big detriment. I don't have a problem admitting that, but it's like, God, the grass probably isn't greener, but my brain just thinks it is for some temporary reason. It's just, that's something I struggle with. So it's like 4 is just staying the course. If it's worked for 3 years, dude, it's probably going to work for another 1, 2, 3 for as long as you want to grow it, even at a smaller scale, like 10 grand a month profit. Like that's still great. Keep that money investing.
It's basically a race to get to compounding, right? And I'm kind of experiencing that now, and similar to you, it's just like the longer you can prolong, and I don't live as frugally as I used to. I used to be like super frugal. I lived in a super cheap studio apartment in like really rough part of town in roofing sales, dude. I was making like 180K on the year, living in a 600 a month, 350 square foot apartment. It was like government housing. Like it was tough. It seems pretty like cut and dry. Like, yeah, that's like pretty average. I think most people understand they need to save their money. It's hard. Yeah, especially with social media and all your friends. Like if you surround yourself with people who are doing well, like there's a good chance they like to spend a little bit of money, buy some fun toys.
It's a really good point. It's like, don't get fancy. I'm obsessed now. Every time I want to buy some dumb shit, I'm trying to get to a point where I'm living off dividends, and most of it is S&P and Bitcoin. But there is like, I'm testing out some high yield ETFs, and like they pay a really nice healthy dividend. It's like, okay, that's my fun money, because I'm not touching the principal. I'm just letting it continuing to ride. And I don't mind taking a little bit of that cash flow and spending on some nice stuff. I think you have to. I think that's a good point. I just got the nice Porsche. It's like, that's genius. I saw you post that. It's like, dude, that's what I want to eventually get to. And that's a car that's going to hold its value. It's just, you could be smart about purchases. And I think you actually do need to purchase nice things to realize and like get, some of the money off the table and be like, no, I earned this. This is really cool for me. And I don't have anything like that yet. But, at some point there's going to be a time where it's like, hey man, it's okay to reward yourself every once in a while. So I don't know.
I've thought about that recently. One of the YouTube videos I want to make is about buying an expensive car. Do I regret it? But I came to the realization recently, because I've bought some nice things, and yes, they're nice things and I like having them, but my life is not really different with them. You mentioned, you have CPA. I'm curious, like when it comes to investing strategy, this kind of stuff, like are there other professionals that you've hired that have been like high ROI for you, or friends, or like where are you learning this stuff from?
Most of it is, I'm a nerd with this stuff, and I know I probably shouldn't be, but the dividend guys on YouTube, I love speaking to them, and I obviously use my channel as much as I can to be like, hey man, like I run a cool channel, this is awesome, good to speak with you, and the reciprocity is there, which is really nice. But all of it is self-taught through YouTube, man. I don't really read like term sheets or balance sheets or go through earnings or any of that shit, but I just know data. I used to watch this guy from my Call of Duty friends, Woody's Gamertag. He's big on investing in the S&P, and like, look at how your money compounds. And he made this video like 15 years ago. That was my first like taste and lick of it. But it's like, the S&P, just very boring. Keep it in 8 to 10% a year. I would love 8 to 10% a year, because at our contribution levels, we can probably print for the rest of our life. Like that's our net worth right then and there. And that can just continue to plummet on top of our cash flow business, which is amazing. So there's no one person that I've hired. I don't have a money manager. It's all kind of self-done, which I'm okay with. But My strategy is S&P, Bitcoin, and then a little bit of the Mag 7, like on an individual basis. I buy companies that I love. Amazon, Google, just because YouTube's in there. There's just a couple of these companies that I love and I will use to the day I die, literally. So I buy them, and that's just how I like it. And I'm not a trader by any means necessary. So I'm just like, listen, boring, simple stuff that I know is going to be here tomorrow. I'm cool with it and get my percent. That's it.
I remembered what I was going to say. So I came to terms recently, having previously been like super frugal, that like not every purchase that I make needs to be the most smartest financial position. And that's okay as long as it's well within my means. And I understand that I'm not buying this for like an ROI. Like if I'm buying it because I think it would be cool as a man, like in your 20s, to have a fun car because you can have it, you get to the point where it's like, okay, I'm like relatively smart with my money. It's okay if I buy something that is not meant to ROI, even though like the car that I bought, like I intentionally bought a specific one that will hold its value at minimum or increase. And so I think to the car, because that's like the biggest thing I've bought, but I didn't buy this for really investment returns. And that's okay because I can afford to do it. Obviously, I'm not going to buy something that's just going to depreciate like crazy and whatever, but like I came to that recently, having previously been frugal, and I was like, I think this is a healthy standpoint.
I really like that way of thinking, and it's like, it's hard. I hate that cars, unfortunately, are the guru symbol. It's cars, watches, and stuff that actually does hold its value if you know how to buy them properly is unfortunately associated with the kid who doesn't know cars. Like, love and respect TJR, but he doesn't seem to care much about cars, and he doesn't find much value. He likes to flex them, which is all due respect. It's helping his brand clearly, but a real true car guy, it's like the cheesy quotes, like, the car just gets you from A to Z. It's like, you don't understand that the point just went right over your head. It's the fun you have when you mash the gas. Dylan and I were talking off camera. I rented a GT3 RS. It was absolutely insane. The feeling that that car gives you. Of course, it's cool to see. It was the purple one too. I forget the spec, but the purple, like 2016 3RS, and everyone's looking. Of course, that's cool. But it's like, dude, hearing the red line is like, oh my God, this is just never going to get old. That is for women, that could be makeup. For other dudes, that could be shooting guns. Like, I know a guy who has a crazy gun collection. It's like, dude, I couldn't give two shits about that. And even I don't get it. And my brain goes to judging, and it goes to, why would you spend so much money? But then it's like, dude, you realize how cool it is to have he's got it all on his background. It's like, do you know how cool that is? Or like being able to shoot and hold an AA-12 shotgun or an M4 or whatever. And it's like, you know what? Fair point. And I've had that like kind of realization the last year. So that, what you just said is something that I even have to take a bit of a page out of your book too, because it's just like, it's so true, man. And it's like, I've gone through some personal deaths that I've had recently, and even other like just stuff all over that we're seeing. It's like deaths, and it's like, dude, you're here once, regardless of beliefs and all that stuff. Just take it as a face value, worst case scenario. It's like, if we got one life to live, we got to make the damn most of it, no matter what. That's how I got to think. And it's like the cheesy quote of, I've said this in my videos before, and those who know will know, 50% of your life, like you're going to die tomorrow. So spend the money, buy the girl the nice flowers, do whatever the hell. But the other 50%, live like you're going to live another 50 years, and like be smart with your money. Please don't make 10 grand and spend 11. Please don't over leverage yourself and do stupid shit, because it's not going to work out. Right. So I don't know. It's crazy.
I think if you really want to get like philosophical with it, not so much philosophical, but like, you know, when you're up there in age, not really as mobile, can't do as much, like, are you going to remember how much you spent on the GT3 RS? Are you going to remember the feeling of redlining it, windows down, favorite song on?
Exactly. Point proven right there. And it's like what you just said, I'm trying to do, like Hormozy said it with his building, where it's like he wanted this really expensive building, his acquisition.com headquarters, but I don't know how much it was. He said, I think it was multi 8 figures. He's like, I could not stomach spending that much on a building. But then it was either Layla or maybe himself. He's like, but what if this could be a revenue driver for us? What if I can make money off this building? And then it started printing cash. And now he has, I don't know what the details are, but he spends like, he has like these little mastermind things that he prints cash off of it, pays for the building. That's what the hobby channel was. When I started the Bispath stuff, it was like, dude, two things. My good goal is like, if this can pay my biggest expense, my rent, $2,400 a month for my place, I am really happy with that. That's cool. My aesthetic, like oh my God, like it would be absolutely insane if this could hit, is my second goal, which is pays for all my personal expenses, which right now is about $5,000 Canadian per month. So whatever that convert, I think it's like high threes, low fours USD for the US guys listening. And I was like, if it could do that, that'd be sick. And then we hit that officially in March of this year. Started November 2024, and that hit in March 2025. And it's been like that ever since. So you don't realize how quickly things can happen. And I just wanted to turn my hobby into a little side income stream. And now it's really cool. And now I'm trying to do that with the car channel for car purchases and all that. So similar to what you did, where it's like, dude, it's okay to take chips off the table sometimes, especially think of the content. I've seen your content that you made with it. It's so cool to look at those pictures. It's cool to look at those videos. You probably met some really cool people. So like I've had car meets where it's like, dude, you don't realize the people that are there and the status that they hold or the companies that they own. You have no idea. And it's like, damn, that's actually true. I never really thought about it that way.
When you're the person that's like done, considerable things and you have like a good skill set, you really are just one connection away from making that car back many times over just by being at a car meet with all these old dudes, right?
Yeah.
Funny because you mentioned the 2016 3RS, the ultraviolet purple.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
My boy here in Austin has that car and he loves that. He said like since he bought it too, he put like 2,000 miles in a month on it.
Oh my God.
And then it like went up in value. But I did want to pivot to, you kind of started talking about like the YouTube stuff. I'm like particularly interested in that because I just think it's super cool. So just to recap really quick, you were working for this real estate company, learned how to sell, did it for 4 years, got your resume built up in that sense, branched off to do very similar thing, freelance, then agency, got your time back, started building team, which like we're not going to spend much time talking about, but I'm sure you have, or actually you said the first 4 people sucked.
Yeah. Horrible.
Hiring is like a whole other thing we could really dive into if we have time, but you basically got to the point that like through sales and then stacking like one skill after another, you got this agency that doesn't take too much of your time. And now you're kind of adding kind of like a media play where you've uniquely like monetized on the back end. And I think that's super cool. Before we completely move away from the agency, you mentioned margin wise, good, it's consistent and it doesn't take too much of your time. Like all of those things beg the question in my mind, like, do you ever intend on trying to sell this or trying to like completely remove yourself? I want to ask you that before we move on.
Funnily enough, I tried to sell it in summer of 2023 and selling it through Acquire, I think is what they're called. Dude, selling a business is not the easiest thing at all. And agencies in and of themselves are very low valuations I think at the time I did a whole research on them because I was trying to buy a newsletter and it fell through. But point is I was doing the whole bunch of research and it's like agencies are one of the worst things to sell. And I'm like, why? And it's like, because they're only worth about 1.5 to 2 times earnings, if that. And they're just very hard to transfer. They're typically owner led and my face was all over all the content, all the landing pages, everything. It's still all the case studies, everything. To this day it is. And I don't mind that, but buyers do. And buyers had no interest in taking something over that was sure cash flow heavy, but there was a good chunk of churn, but we were able to replace its realtors, right? There, you can churn 1, get 2 the next, get 3 the next day. It's just, you're cycling through customers all the time. It's just the nature of the game, especially in that industry. So I tried, but it was just so much of a hassle. There were people that wanted a lot of earnout situations. And I don't mind talking about that, but it was just like, dude, why don't I just keep this thing as a cash flow play for as long as I possibly can, stack as much cash as I possibly can. And I'm very happy with that decision that I did because I had one offer that was it was like half of what I wanted. And it would have been a multi 6-figure payout at the time. But I was just like, I don't see this being worth it. Like, yeah, I could just keep this thing for multiple years. And that's only like a year and a half of earnings. Why would I do that? So I want to keep it for cash flow for now. And now with the corporate investing stuff, I definitely want to keep it for sure. Even as like a holdco, if I, for some reason, shut this one down, I just run all my other business ventures through it anyways, just to keep it alive, if you will. But yeah. And then there was another question you had, which was really good. It was selling and then was it hiring or something along those lines? I can't remember.
I don't know if we want to get into the whole like hiring thing, but that's like one of the hardest parts of growing. Cause like as a sales guy, I feel like sales guys who figure it out are pretty competent. They do what it takes, like they're hard workers. It's really hard to replace yourself in stuff like that.
So true, unfortunately. And that's just how it is. And that's why external B2B sales, speaking with realtors, I love. I will do forever. I don't mind being on that until we're like 12 hours a day of calls being booked, which we don't have right now. We're getting a couple demos per week and I don't mind that, but we're starting to even spool that up. But until we're capped out, I want to take sales calls. I love sales calls. However, the second that service agreement is signed, I don't care to be on much of that anymore. I don't really care to be on the fulfillment. I don't care to be on progress calls, check-in calls. I let my CSM do that. I let the setters handle all the calls. All the ads that created is by the ads manager. And that's really just it. I love selling though. I've always loved selling. And I just think no matter what offer I'm in, it's just now I'm at a position where it's like, how do we go from $2,000 to $3,000 a month retainers to like 10, 20, $30,000 packages? That's my next leg up. I don't know what that vertical looks like yet, but I'd love to get there at some point.
Could you just sell what you sell to the brokerages instead of realtors? Like, is that even possible?
Possibly. I was thinking more, what's a big opportunity is commercial, like development groups where they need hundreds of units like placed with buyers and sellers. That's huge, but it's getting that contract. It's like a government level contract. Like once you get, they're so hard to get, but once you're in, dude, you're in for life. As long as you do a half decent job, they will pay till the end of time kind of thing. So that's a good question. The brokerage is not really, because they don't really even care. It's the individual agents that are using our service anyways. So it really comes down to them. But no, the commercial enterprise level, that's the next play, I would say. But also side little service, like realtors barely know how to open a damn door, let alone use AI, for example. So we're spinning up a small little AI consulting offer where it's like, hey, the automations that could build you all your flows from contract signed to a showing to new property alerts. Like we can build all that. There's a ton of demand on that side. I think AI has like a ton of use cases and a ton of like pre-baked in demand. Everyone knows that they need it. It's just nobody knows how to implement it.
That makes sense. I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm sure a lot of people listening to this too. We have some B2B enterprise people, and like I've had a freelance client for almost 2 years now, signed him through TikTok, super random. He's a manufacturer and we sell just like B2B to like dinosaur companies, dude. And those contracts, they're hard to get, but as soon as you get them, dude, it's like you really got to mess up to lose them. And so if you could crack into something like that, man, that would probably be great. So let's talk more now about just like the YouTube stuff. So you started this YouTube channel. You said you started it way back in the day, like trying to be a streamer. Were you playing Modern Warfare 2 back in the day?
Back in the day, it was, no, I didn't start the channel until Black Ops 2. 2012 going into 2013 is when I got my capture card and started uploading then, had no traction, so I cut that out. And then I tried again in 2015, streaming on Twitch specifically, no YouTube videos, and I actually got traction. I have the screenshot where it's like I was getting on my second or third stream. Keep in mind, this is 2015. This is not when streaming was as big as it was 5-10 years later. This is when it was still so new, so you could very easily get traction. And my dad, he wanted me to go to school. He's like, you know, schools are looking at these year's grades, right? You know, schools are looking at these year's grades. And it was like, I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. So he cut off the internet because my grades were falling so much that year, but I was getting traction. I knew I probably would have been a streamer. I'm not talking like a Nick Merckx level, but I could have, even if I achieved half of what he did, I would probably be a streamer right now, honest to God, because I knew I was getting traction within like a couple of days of starting. It was just my personality. I didn't even have a face cam at the time. You could still find it. I think it's twitch.tv/getviped. GETVIPED was my Twitch channel. And I was getting traction off of just nothing. It was crazy back then, man. It was nuts.
What made you kind of pick it back up? You got this business that's making money. You can just chill or grow that, focus on that. What made you pick it back up and start making the type of content you're making now?
There was a guy called Why Learn Tech, if you want to search up his he was making Modern Warfare 2 videos, and he was a software guy. He still is a software developer, and he was making these videos talking about life, business, money stuff. And it hit my algorithm on a Friday morning. Keep in mind, this is end of November, so everyone's already thinking of Christmas. Things are slower with the agency. They're coasting, kind of. We're still making good money, but it's coasting. Everyone's more chill. And I'm watching YouTube videos Friday morning. I'm like, what the hell is this? There's no way. I thought it was fake. I'm like, who is playing Modern Warfare 2, the 2009 version, in 2024? There's just no way. I was playing them. I swear on everything. I was playing them with my capture card that I still use to this day, sitting on the side of my desk. And I was playing a couple hours a week already at this point. And then I see this video. I'm like, I pause it and I say out loud, holy shit, I can do this for business. I could be like the Modern Warfare 2 guy, try this again. I may as well just give a stab and just see where it goes because I got free time now. It's just a fun little creative hobby. My agency at this point, I was getting a little bored. I'm not going to lie. There was a couple like ebbs and flows. There was 2 moments where I like just nearly threw in the towel and was like, dude, I'm done with this thing. I'm just so bored. I'm not creatively stimulated. I'm not like just thinking of what there is new to do. But when I saw this YouTube stuff, I'm like, no, this is it. And I went all in. I think that same day, I just made like a really horrible commentary. It's something like I was talking to myself almost in the video where it's like, you don't have as much time as you think, just start. I think that was my first video and it popped pretty quickly because the algorithm was like feeding and hoping for creators like that. And then I think my 5th video, the how living frugally built my net worth to 900 and something K, that was the video that put me on the map. I got extremely lucky from like 200 subs to my first 3,000. It took 5 videos and I think it was like 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks or something where I was like from nothing to monetized. And I was like, holy shit, like this is cool. The views, for anyone listening who has a YouTube channel or has gotten some type of views, that was cool, but it didn't really hit me until like 2 months later where it's like, dude, you don't understand the monetization play that is here, the really high ticket coaching play that these guys will want from you. I always wanted to be a coach, not in like the cheesy way, but if I could just help a small tight knit group of guys, 5 to 10 at a time, scale an agency or just take what's in my brain, download it for their own and just do it even half as good as I did. Dude, I love that. Like that would be super cool. So it was nuts how it all worked out.
That's like another prime example of like, okay, sales guy, learn some other things. Now you're monetizing the views on your YouTube channel more than just 99.9% of YouTubers are, right? You don't have to get into it, but you basically turned it into a multi 5-figure per month profit business with 20K subscribers on YouTube in a year. Is it?
Yeah, almost. No, so what does it work out to? Almost a year. That's crazy. 10 months. We did 20 grand in June. So almost 6, 7 months, 7 months, 8 months, something like that. So relatively quickly. The craziest thing is it happened by accident. When the Frugally video popped off, it was Sunday morning. That Sunday evening, I get an email from the guy saying, hey, I watched this video front to back twice. It was so good, but I have a couple direct questions. Can I pay you for your time on a consult, just like a one call? And I took the mindset of like, I'm a big fan of the MFM, My First Million podcast. I watch it religiously. And Sam Parr is always like, I hate selling my time. And Sean's like, I hate selling my time too. So I kind of had that imprint in my head. And I was like, you know what? Sure. How much are you willing to spend? He's like, $100 USD for 30 minutes or an hour. I'm like, sure, that'd be sick. And it was like nothing in relative to what I'm making at the agency, but it was like, that's sick. Like, yeah, let's do it. And I wasn't technically monetized at the time. So he just asked me some very basic questions. And when you have the leverage, the audience, that is like, you're just answering some basic questions. I wasn't answering anything crazy. I was getting paid early therapy session money for just answering some questions as a freaking Call of Duty guy. And it was really cool. And then I was like, wait a second, if this guy feels the same way, there's probably a bunch of people that feel hopefully somewhat similar. So I threw it a cal.com link, threw a payment link, and I get like 4 calls my next video. And I'm like, oh shit, like this is actually kind of damn cool. No, I didn't have the high ticket. I didn't have the 20 grand, the high ticket mentorship at this point, but it's like, okay, like there's something here. And then the way that we funnel to the high ticket thing is like, where did that come from? That came by accident too, where people were like, listen, man, an hour is great, but like either I'm going to book 4 hours back to back because I just have so many questions and I think you can help me more, or do you offer anything more expensive? Literally, he says, what else can I buy from you? And I'm just I stutter, even though I've had all the sales stuff experience. It's like, that hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, I don't know, but I'm sure there's a way we can work something out. And then I land on a really small price, but he pays immediately. And I'm just like, holy shit. Now other people probably feel the same way. And I use the data, the questions that I got from these console calls as the product. Is like, okay, I can either answer the same question that I get on these console calls 100 times over, or I could turn the FAQs into a product. And that's what I did, is like 130 modules, lessons, and there's a big, price point behind it, but it's like, hey, 3 months, it's a cohort based. We'll go over everything. I'm going to handhold you and hold you accountable to starting your agency, obviously, because that's all I know, right? I'm not teaching e-commerce or copywriting or any of that stuff. I'm just how to start and scale an agency from freelance to, full-blown agency owner. And that's what it's called, the Freelance Agency Accelerator, where I just help that out. So it's really interesting how it all panned out. It's obviously all organic. Would it work on a paid ads play? Probably not. I'm just being honest. Like, I don't think it's an Emon level program. And I know there's guys in this space that I'm trying to like have their voice in my head. It's like, if it's not going to work on paid ads, just don't. don't do it because it's not worth it. But I'm trying to like, dude, if I can make some side money from this thing and just have my expenses paid for and all my investment accounts loaded up, why the hell not? I'm just going to try it. I'm just going through this thing too. It's nothing crazy.
That's the cool thing, man. It's like kind of what you're teaching, like basically, in short, how to grow an agency, right? And how to set yourself up as a result of doing that. Nothing necessarily groundbreaking, similar to like the business that I run. There's a lot of people in the 1099 remote sales space, but it's funny when you do it differently than other people, that like people will pay to work with you, not because of the model. And so I think you're right in the sense like it would be harder to scale to a cold audience, but YouTube or that like middle of funnel stuff is probably perfect, dude. And I can see anyone who's in that like mid to late 20s, early 30s definitely has like a soft spot in their heart for like Modern Warfare 2 type content. And I mean, I don't know if you've had one yet. No, some of your videos have a good amount of views, dude. That frugal one, how many views does it have?
That one was 80 something. And then there was another one. The most popular one I have now is how to make 10 grand a month and quit your 9 to 5, which I literally talk about. It's the first vehicle, sales. Get into high ticket sales. Like that is the number one thing. Don't start an agency. I actually don't recommend starting an agency. Take some of that cash flow, invest it into some type of sellable skill. It could be sales. Like you could do what you did. I don't want to leak your agency name if you don't, but the fractional sales management company where it's like you just do sales management. You know how many people have broken sales systems? You go in there, 5-10 grand a month, learn what you did as a closer, but implement it into businesses. That's a genius play, or a paid ads, or copywriting, or AI is like turning all these things on their head too. You can honestly just have AI do sometimes 50, 60, 70% of the fulfillment at this point. It's crazy how different the game is now, but it's like, yeah, that's all it really is. And I love what you said in the beginning of like, I use the example of there's only one freaking way to do a bicep curl. It's the person teaching it. I like Dylan because he likes Porsches. He likes working out. He likes coffee. I don't know. I'm just thinking of like stuff out loud versus the guy who is maybe liberal or doesn't have the same beliefs that I do. It's like, who do you think I'm going to work with? Obviously, I'm going to work with Dylan because I believe in him more. I trust him more naturally. It's like a religious-based selling. Here in Canada, that's a very big thing. Indian people will sell to Indian people and they'll want to work with Indian people because that's just how it is. That's a very common thing, for example. So there's only one way to do, in most cases, it's dead simple. The agency model has been around for decades, but it's the person behind it. It's the guy teaching it that I resonate with, right? So
it's the proximity, man. Cause like, I'm sure the modules in your program are really good. And like, I have a similar thing where we have a ton of content, dude, but I will straight up tell people it's like, you can learn all this for free on YouTube if you really wanted to. You know, depending on how you structure things, yes, you're paying for proximity to yourself or myself, but like you might have some other things. Like for us, for example, we post jobs and they're pretty difficult to find on your own in this industry. And so that's like a huge value add too. So information, like especially in 2025, dude, like paying high ticket just for information, it's kind of doesn't really exist these days anymore. Like, especially if it's like sales or agency, but the proximity and the guidance, like I think a lot of people underestimate the importance of like having that fire under your ass. Like I know for me personally, I've bought some expensive products, programs, whatever. And I just know that like, if I swipe my credit card for an amount of money that would piss me off if I did nothing with it, I'll do something with it, you know?
I love that. It's pay to play, and the people who pay, in most cases, do pay more attention. They take it more serious than those who don't. It's like everyone has the same information at their fingertips. This is like Charlie Morgan, who puts out 10 hours of agency. I've seen his programs, and it's like, damn, what he puts out for free, he literally almost charges like 80% of. There's a little bit of extra stuff, but this is all behind a paywall. It's literally the same videos. However, it's like what you said, we've had a couple emails back and forth, you and I, and it's like, you could rip my modules, you could rip my course, but it's the implementation, it's the hand holding and the accountability from me that no amount of ripping courses can get from me. You got to pay me to actually do that. If you want to just take my content, frickin' by all means. When I saw that email come through, I looked at it for a couple of seconds. I'm like, very good point. And I've kind of shifted my thinking a lot that way. Because it's like, dude, yeah, I'm the same way. They just pay to get in the rooms, pay to be held accountable. That's worth it more than frickin' some modules and videos, right? So yeah, so true.
Not to mention too, like you kind of just touched on it there, but like getting in the room, dude, a lot of times the best part, because I've bought some programs that were not really all that, but I met people in there that were just as committed as me. And, you know, not everybody in there is going to get success. Like if anyone tells you they got 100% success rate B2C, it's basically impossible because people inevitably disappear and they make poor decisions, right? So like you can only control so much, but like, you know, if you meet 5 people in here and 2 of them go off to be like mega successful with what it is that you're you're doing, like you would have never met those people otherwise. And so I have a lot of really great connections from 2022, even dating back to like 2017, 2018, when I got into like copywriting, that are just crushing now, dude. So not to underestimate that at all, like the network side of it. And when you say that to someone who isn't even in the ballpark of understanding, they're like, all right, network, like I've heard that a million times. Network is your net worth, whatever. But when you start to experience it and you're like, you see the benefits, like you're like, yeah, network, without being corny.
It's cliche, it's corny, it sounds silly, and it is. It's like two beginners networking with each other. It's like, okay, it's like two idiots in a room. But people who have intention, who have ambition, even if they're worth nothing, but they have that ambition, those guys either become partners or they find a vehicle. They're running at full speed. They're just not in the right vehicle. And once they get placed into that freaking Ferrari or that Lambo, they're hitting the ground running very quickly, and they scale. They make a shit ton of money. They're millionaires, and it's crazy. It's cool to know those people. It's cool to say, yeah, man, I know that guy. Like I've spoken to him before. He's a great guy, and we've jived well, kind of things. It's such a good point. Such a good point.
All right, dude, I want to be conscious with the time that we have left. I want to kind of zoom out and talk to someone who's in the early stages of it all. Maybe they're in a sales job now, but like we kind of introed you, sales guy, built an agency, kind of not fully removed yourself from it, but you've really operationalized it to where you're not consumed with that business anymore, but it gives you cash. Now you're using the cash to invest and build other cash flowing assets such as social media, coaching. So all that being said, you've done a lot of stuff. If you were a beginner today, and honestly, you could probably just be like, oh yeah, go watch this video on my channel. But if you were a beginner today, like what are the first 5 steps that you would take to go from like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know I want to be successful, to getting as close to where you possibly can as to where you are today?
Step one would be, because it's tough to say, go get a sales job. Like I get that. That's been one of my biggest hate comments is, it sounds so easy. And it's like, that's true. It is easy. You're really overcomplicating it. You're just commenting this because you have some weird beliefs, but fair enough. I would say study the GOATs, if you will. David Ogilvy, I love Cole Gordon's stuff. I love Hormozy stuff. Like there does come a level of studying just to get in that mindset, that frame. And this is all for free. Like Dylan said perfectly, all of this stuff can be found for free. There is no excuse. If you are literally listening to this right now, or someone comes across this video or article, there's no excuse. If you have an internet connection and a phone, you can make money from it. It's just literally typing the right keys on the keyboard. I saw that quote where it's like, if you just pull the right information, type the right things and get across the right people, you can make a ton of money. So I'd be reading, listening as much as I can. However, second step would be getting a trial client on a sales basis. So I would start as a setter just because that is the lowest friction. You're going to make less, yes, for sure. But I think it's the lowest friction to where my positioning and what I've recommended a lot of guys do, that they've worked their way up to closers from the time that they saw my video in November. I said, please go become maybe not necessarily a commission only appointment setter, but get some type of base and or do a lead revive service. So don't come in just as a regular Joe Blow setter. I'll set your leads for you. It's like, no. Go a step further. Say, give me your new leads, but I will scrub your entire database, Mr. Company. Go find a local business, go find a coaching education business. Doesn't matter what kind of business it is, but say, hey, I will scrub your entire database and get you an immediate 10, 20, 30 grand in bookings. Does that sound fair enough? That was my offer for these setters. And there's been like 4 guys that have done that. And it's a win-win for the business owner. So of course they're going to do it. And I'm sure they could actually probably find the curation of jobs that you're posting, which is why I recommend so many people to your channel. There's little directories and marketplaces that you could probably find stuff like that. But I'm talking like, even if you want to make it harder on yourself and just for your own like pride, just try to make it one less stride difficult. I'd say that would be my step 2. And then step 3, reps and learn absolutely everything in that given business as much as you possibly can, still as a setter, not a closer yet. And just like overperform. And I guess you're going to know more than I would on this because it's been so long, but I'm talking like your numbers, your show rate, your conversion from lead to appointment rate, like know your numbers like in and out, become the top performer as much as you possibly can. I would personally be fully remote. I wouldn't do the in-person thing anymore because I want to have remote freedom. That's like my biggest thing, rather than stacking the net worth and buying toys and stuff. It's like, I just want to be able to do what I want to do whenever I want to do. And sales allows you that freedom, even as a setter. I know setters making stupid amounts of money right now. And then I would leverage that into step 4, use your experience. Ideally, if you can, stay at the same company. Or if, I don't know, you may be able to comment on this for a sec, but like using that to a different vertical or different industry, to like the job hop where you can make an immediate 20 to 30%, maybe that's more fruitful, but I would go stage 4 as a closer, like full blown, get into sales closing. I don't care if it's Ideally education if you can, because your margins are going to be so high on that as a high ticket closer anyways, but that'd be my play. And then step 5 is either own the offer and start your own thing. And that could be agency, that could be coaching of some sorts. I probably would use coaching as like a step 6, because I'd want to like actually own something tangible that you run first before going on and teaching sales. Even though there's some very good sales closers that did that, I would do that first and then go into like that hybrid where you're starting and scaling an agency of some sorts, ideally like I did in the same vertical. It could be real estate, could be whatever the hell you have previous experience in. Some guys get burnt out from their niche and they want something totally different. Full respect. Fair enough. Like that would be my play. And how to find these jobs, like there's so many marketplaces nowadays too. I'm sure there's probably a prompt out there on like pulling sales jobs and keyword searches. Like I know there's crazy tools. There's like black hat, white hat stuff, something that may not be fully legal, but there's ways to find these jobs that people wouldn't realize. I always use the ads library strategy, find a high ticket coach on the back end. I've done this multiple times with consult calls. I type in fitness coach or local fitness coach and someone who's clearly selling a very expensive fitness offer. Say, hey, saw you were running ads on Facebook. You're probably generating leads from Facebook, right? We can convert those. I can convert those on a percentage basis right now, plus the lead revive service. Just do that as an individual setter. No risk to you. Worst case scenario, you get a case study. Best case scenario, you get a full-time job, great commissions, and you work your way up to a closer that way. I know it's a bit scattered. It sounds a bit messy as I'm saying it, but that's just what I would 100% recommend. I think it's the easiest play to 10 grand a month. And I've seen that done in like 90 days. I swear to God, I've seen that happen in 3 to 4 months where guys go from genuinely nothing to very quickly making really good money.
If you want to try that method, because I've talked about that a little bit, but on Instagram, every 3rd or 4th post is an ad. And if you can curate your algorithm just by liking and opening links to get coaches and then go and look up their business in the meta ads library, I think that's what it's called, right? Go see how many ads they're running and just cold pitch people. The cool thing about that is if they're running ads, they're probably making money.
Little hack, 30 days. That's what I say. Anything that's been running for 30 days, any business person with half a brain, if it's been running for a month or longer, it's probably printing fucking cash, or the guy's just an idiot or girl. But like point is, try to find ones that have been running for a month or longer because you know they're probably swimming in cash, or better yet, they have a lead problem and they're probably swarming in leads. They may have a closer, but it's like, dude, if they have a closer, that's more proof for you to be like, okay, maybe I could eventually help this person. Maybe this guy could be a fractional sales client of mine in the future when you start your own offer. Like it's a no-lose scenario for people. And it's just like, we don't have to talk about it, but just people who cope and people who make excuses. And it's just like, dude, there is no excuse right now. Every tool is for free out there. It's crazy.
I had this dude say these closer roles, they seem like a catch-22. Like I don't have experience, so I can't get them. And I'm like, okay, dude, let's pretend that is true for a second. Look at all these people that you know are doing this. Were they just born into this? Like, how do you think they got there?
It's so damn true. And that's probably what the question is. I meant to say that, but it's like, that's probably what the question is. Well, what if I don't know how to do outreach? It's like, dude, you figure it out. You know how many YouTube videos there are for absolutely everything right now? That's all you got to do.
For anyone watching who just discovered you and is like, I want to pay more attention to this guy, where should they find you?
YouTube is the main one. BizPath Tech should be the handle, should be the @ if you want to follow the car channel, if you're into car stuff. I drive an old BMW with very similar topics to the gaming channel. So that's just BizRev Tech, exactly as it sounds. BizRev Tech. And those are the main channels, if you will. I just love YouTube. YouTube's the main thing.
Cool, dude. I appreciate you coming on. We're going to have to chat some more. And if you guys enjoyed the episode, go follow Brandon, subscribe to our stuff, and maybe we'll have him on again in the future. So thanks for coming on, man.
Love it. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, you guys, that is the episode with Brandon. Honestly, this episode could have gone a lot longer. This was like our first time having a full in-depth conversation, but we've gone back and forth a little bit. We might have to run it back for part 2. If you guys want to see part 2, let us know in the comments. Also, if you guys have any specific guests you would like us to reach out to, or if you want to come on or someone you know should come on, leave it in the comments. Send us an email, dylan@becauseofsales.com, dylan@becauseofsales.com. And yeah, guys, give us some feedbacks. Let us know how you were liking these. We want to make these as valuable as possible and not all about just how to handle sales objections. I feel like that's all over the internet, but just letting you guys know what's working, sharing some cool stories, and keeping it entertaining while we do it all. So I appreciate you guys watching. Go connect with Brandon. All of his socials are going to be down below. And if you're looking to scale an agency, maybe look into his mentorship. That's all for this one, you guys. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next week.